Every growth team faces the same question. Is it better to lower price or increase performance marketing spend? Most people never actually answer it. They run a price change, look at the numbers a week after, and either declare victory or panic. Neither is right. Today I'm going to show you a method that actually works. Even if your business is seasonal, even if you can't run an A/B test, even if your number were already growing before you touched anything. I've been running prices analysis for 10 years in investment banking and now measurement for years for large retailers. This is one of the framework I use. And stay until the end, there's something there for you. Here's what we're covering today. First, why the two methods everyone uses are broken. Second, why year-on-year difference in difference actually does and why it solves both problems. Third, the one mistake that will give you the wrong answer even if you do everything else right. And fourth, an example so you can see exactly how to build this yourself. Let's start with two obvious approaches and why they fail. The first one is pre-post. You change your price on November 15, you look at revenue before and after, simple. Except it's Black Friday season. Of course, revenue went up. It goes up every year. You have no idea how much of that is your price change and how much is just the calendar. The second one is a year over year. You compare this November to last November, that solved the seasonality problem, but now you've introduced a different one. Your business might be growing 20% year over year just from new customers, better marketing, improved conversion. You'd see a 20% lift and think your price change worked. It didn't. That was already happening. And here's a mistake I constantly see. Using absolute numbers on a growing business. Say your baseline is 1,000 orders a day and last Black Friday you did 1,500. That's a 50% uplift. This year your baseline is 2,000. You should expect 3,000 orders on Black Friday just from growth. If you get 3,200, the real effect is only 7 percentage points. Not 200 orders, not 700. The absolute number is meaningless. You have to work with percentages. Before you run any pricing analysis, ask yourself, is this period seasonal? If yes, pre-post is already broken. Is my business growing? If yes, absolute numbers are already wrong. One more thing to check before you even start, did your marketing spend change at the same time as your price? If you cut price and double your Google spend in the same week, you cannot separate the two effects. Check spend stability first, every time. If pre-post doesn't work and straight year-on-year doesn't work, what does? You combine them. That's the difference in difference. Here's the idea. You have four numbers. Your baseline in a pre-window last year, your baseline in a pre-window this year, Black Friday last year, Black Friday this year. You compute the year-on-year percentage lift in the pre-window. That's the natural growth rate, untouched by any price. Then you apply that same growth rate to last year Black Friday. That gives you the counterfactual. What this year's Black Friday should have looked like without the price change. When you compared actual this year to that counterfactual, the gap is your price effect. In the example, baseline 1,000 to 2,000, that's 100% growth. Last year, Black Friday was 1,500, that's 50% uplift. What you expect this year is 3,000. If the actual is 3,200, your deal is actually only 7 percentage points. That's what the price change did. Prior year is your control group. You don't need a holdout region. You don't need an A/B test. The prior year absorbed the seasonality and the growth. No, what do you measure? Revenue is a good starting point, but it will mislead you on price cuts. If you drop your price 10% and the volume goes up by 12%, revenue looks fine, but your margin just got crushed. You need gross profit. A price cut that drives revenue but compresses gross profit is not a win. Run the deal on gross profit first. Then you can cross-check it with revenue and units as secondary signal if necessary for your reporting. One more thing before we get into the example, your relative price matters as much as your absolute price. If a competitor raises their price, you capture demand even without touching your own. Here's the useful part. You can run this exact same framework in reverse. If a major competitor changes their price, use it as your intervention date and run the same year-on-year did on your own demand. You will see whether you captured share or not. And critically, always check if competitors move around your intervention date. If they did, part of what you're measuring is their effect, not yours. Quick recap before the example. Pre-post is broken because of seasonality. Straight year-on-year is broken because of growth. Year-on-year did solve both by using the prior year as your implicit control. Always work in percentage lift. Always measure gross profit. Always check your spend and competitor activity before trusting the result. Now let's dive into that example. I can't share real client data, so I built a synthetic example that replicates the exact problem. A business growing 20% year over year, a price cut 2 weeks before Black Friday, and a question, did it work? Here's the setup. 2 years of daily gross profit with a Black Friday spike baked in, 2025 is strictly 20% higher than 2024. That's the business growth. On November 15, we cut to the retail price by 10% and get a 6% gross profit response. That's what we're trying to detect. This is the clean pre-window, 60 days before the price change, no intervention has happened yet. We compute the natural year-on-year growth rate here. That's our baseline. We take last year Black Friday gross profit and scale it by pre-window growth rate. This is the counterfactual, what 2025 should have looked like without the price change. Left chart is gross profit, our outcome. Right chart is retail price, our competitor. Price went down 7.7%. Gross profit went up 6.6% above what you expected. That gap is the elasticity signal. Here's a key point. Without this method, you'd look at gross profit up 19% year over year and think the price cut was a massive win. It wasn't. 19% was already happening. The real effect of the price change is 6.6%. That's the number you should bring to your CFO. Before you go run this, a few things that will break it. This method assumes the year-on-year relationship is linear and stable. You are extrapolating. If something happens in the post window that wouldn't have happened anyway, a competitor move, a supply shock, a sudden marketing change, your counterfactual is wrong. Your pre-window must be clean. If another price change happened in the pre-window, your baseline growth rate is contaminated. If you change multiple things at the same time, prices, spend, product mix, you cannot cleanly attribute the effect to any of them. The wider your confidence interval on your pre-window year on year, the less you should trust the result. When in doubt, extend the pre-window. You can also exclude some effect within the model if there's anything that was unexpected. If your business is seasonal, compare the same period year over year before and after the price change. Scale by percentage, not absolute. What's left is a price effect. One thing to do today: take your last price change, define the 4 windows, pull the gross profit number, and try to see if you can have a directional answer of the impact. If you need help running a pricing analysis, we have a few spots available for free pricing tests. First come, first served, and the link is in the description.